Now for something completely different. 110,000 square feet of toys, toys, toys. The place that I would love to be.
Terrific. For the better part of 30 years, I've worn a jacket and a tie. Those who know me, my family, my colleagues, my friends, think I sleep in a suit and tie. So when I saw the instructions from Jennifer that this was casual, that I couldn't wear a tie, that was the first piece of shock and threw me off my game. So if you'll indulge me as I relax and really get into it, this is really a treat. I just hope that I can continue to speak as I get more relaxed here. I really need to contemplate something for a while. It really is trying to understand why I'm here. As I sat through the speeches this morning and heard these absolutely brilliant journalists talk about the geopolitical implications of our relationship between the West and Afghanistan, when I had the honor to sit here and listen to a child prodigy, a violin virtuoso, thrill the crowd, I heard two brilliant brand makers. I was just checking to see if I had holes in the bottom of my socks. Two brilliant brand makers, Don Zeraldo and Michael Budman, who have over 25 years built iconic brands throughout this country and throughout the world. I hear a noted anthropologist talk about the breakdown of the stuff of society, the culture of society with these toy soldiers, which I promise you are not provided by Toys R Us. And then I kind of dial back and listen to Lionel Tiger complain because he's holding you up from ice wine, and I have to speak after Tracy Kwan. This is pretty tough, but I must share with you that I'm not a friend of Moses, I was not raised in Montreal, and I'm not a graduate of McGill. So, I've just got the hook. So, but what I did realize is that I have the opportunity to share with you some very personal experiences and some really fun experiences. I am, as described, a Can-Am. I am a dual citizen, having spent half my life in the United States and half here in Canada. I still call Toronto home, although 60 some odd days last year does not really qualify me for too much. Briefly, and I don't want to make this too personal, the biography was very generous and very kind and spoke about the fact that I have had almost a fantasy type of career, spending 10 years in the baseball business between the New York Yankees and the Toronto Blue Jays, and then 12 years in the toy business, being the first employee, the first international employee of Toys R Us, and starting the business here in Canada. It was terrific, each one of those experiences. Somewhere along the way, I may have had my marbles scrambled because for 4 years, I took on the responsibility of trying to turn around that once great Canadian icon in the apparel business called Dialex. For those of you Canadians who are in the audience, you know how that story ended, and I'm happy to say that my responsibilities now are, and have been, to put together what has been an absolutely marvelous project at the corner of 44th Street and Broadway in Manhattan. Where did this all come from, and where did it all start? The new chairman of Toys R Us, John Eiler, had a vision. He finally came to the recognition, after 40 years, that the name Toys R Us was not an aggregation of 1,200 toy stores around the world, but it was indeed a world-class brand. One of, if not the most recognizable brands for kids, and something where we had to take it out and start to build a different environment so that we could compete. During that period of time, actually in the last few years, Toys R Us lost its #1 market position to Walmart. Now, that was a dark day in the annals of Toys R Us, but recognizing that Walmart had thousands of doors throughout the world, we could not possibly have continued to keep up. However, clearly on a per-store basis, our business continues to dramatically exceed theirs. What did we find? We found over that 40-year period that the company had a great understanding of how to build 45,000 square foot toy stores on high traffic arteries or on the pads of major shopping centers. They were sterile, they offered no customer service, there was no fun. It was probably, arguably, one of the more difficult environments for a parent to take their child into because it inevitably ended in crying, yelling, tears, and all that go along with it. But we were a toy store and we were trying to bring across fun. So what was the proposition? The proposition was we had to change who we were. The company committed and has now completed a $750 million renovation program across every single store in the United States, some 700 strong. And what was the point of that? The point was to create a different environment, to create an environment which had differentiation on product, exclusive product, product that you could only get in our store. Create a different environment, an environment that people could come into, people could relax, people could enjoy, and something that was experiential at the same time. And throughout those 700 stores, have we accomplished that yet? Are we where we need to be? Unequivocally not. But as part of that overall strategy, we needed a rallying point. And that rallying point was an international flagship store. Many of you know New York. Many of you have been there. To put a store in Lower Manhattan or in the Upper East Side or the West Side or in one of the boroughs would not have gotten us there. We needed to take a location which was high profile, which was controversial, which was tough, and put up barriers that if we were to climb those barriers and succeed, would make a statement to the world at large that we were back. So we secured a location, an old movie theater site on the corner of 44th and Broadway, smack in the middle of Times Square, where 30 million tourists a year come to, where 1.5 million people every single day, on average, pass our front door. This old movie theater was built in 1928, and during its demolition phase, looked somewhere between a cross of Armageddon and downtown Beirut. It was as bad as it got. But again, to succeed to get there, we had to do this. It was a message, most importantly, first to our associates, some 60,000 people worldwide, that we were committed to the business, that we were prepared to make a statement that was as strong as anything we had ever done. We were prepared to make that statement not only to our associates, but to our customers, to our shareholders, to our vendors, and to all of our other strategic partners that we were serious about it. And we were not going to open your garden variety toy store. We were going to open something that was so grand, that was so important, that the millions of people that would visit us on an annual basis would be able to take a message back to wherever they went, whether it was the south of France, the west coast of the United States, Australia, on and on and on, that this business changed and this business meant something serious. So for those of us in the industry, we've heard the term for many, many years called retailtainment, a combination of retail and entertainment. Selfishly, I will tell you that I don't believe anybody got it. We got it. This store is a combination of the finest forms of retailing and the finest forms of entertainment. It is not a toy store. It's a theme park. It's an event venue. It's a place where it all happens. Evidenced by the fact that we will entertain more guests in Toys R Us Times Square this year than will visit Disney World in Anaheim. And Disney World in Anaheim, just to give you a frame of reference, entertains 14 million guests a year. So we made that statement, really a great statement to make philosophically, but how the devil do you get there? Because we had the core competency to know how to build 45,000 square foot toy stores. Pretty easy, cookie cutter, put it down in any location. You understood the real estate, you understood the construction, you understood the distribution logistics, everything that went along with it. But 3 stories high in Manhattan with no storeroom, with a Ferris wheel, with a 20-foot tall, 35 feet long T-Rex dinosaur, with a 4,000 square foot Barbie dollhouse, 2 stories high in the building. On and on it goes. So it was a rather daunting task, and in a company that's undergoing such transition as Toys R Us is, it was somewhat of a polarizing effort. We had people on one side of the equation that were really rooting for its success because this was the dawning of the new day. But regrettably, on the other side of the equation, there were actually people, and you know, candidly, they didn't come forward openly, who were probably saying, well, this is the next CEO's folly and big deal. This is just going to be a black hole where we'll spend tens of millions of dollars. And I will tell you that in the biography, I believe it spoke about the fact that the construction or the cost of this was $35 or $45 million, and we would have really been pleased if that was the number. And it's interesting, a friend of mine once told me that he gave his wife an unlimited budget to build a cottage in Muskoka, and she exceeded it. So I really kind of understand that dynamic. So we started out with nothing. We started out with me crying on bent knee to everybody who would hear me to garner some resource for this. And as I said to you, a lot of people were very, very skeptical. But each day, we got a little bit better. One of the themes, there are two real important themes I'd like to convey to you. Nothing about this undertaking was rocket science. Nothing about this was genius. This was all about a lot of people who were focused on doing something special and something different, that were prepared every single day to put their nose down, to work hard, to think through something, and to focus on our associates and to focus on our guests. That's it. That's all we focused on every single day, to get better and to improve every single day. This was the leading edge of the company's rebranding effort, an effort that was and is make or break for one of the most important brands for kids in the world. So while that $750 million process went along, now I say process rather than 25 years of schooling to say process, we were developing all types of programs to launch and relaunch. So without giving you a lot of the particulars, one of the things that we had to go back to is saying, if this is a great brand, what do people think about? What do they tie their thoughts to? Well, you've all seen that backwards R that gets knocked off on every store that you can pass by in the burbs. But also, we had a dormant mascot called Jeffrey the Giraffe. Jeffrey the Giraffe had been around for 40-plus years, and he had kind of gone into hiding. He became a little dated, a little bit aged. You saw him on the sides of the buildings, and it really looked kind of crummy. So we said, if we're going to bring kids back, if we're going to tell them who and what we are, let's do it in a fun, comfortable kind of way that makes everybody start to feel good. And at the same time, let's slowly reintroduce the 700 stores around the United States and all of our millions and millions of guests to the new Toys R Us. And here's just a quick clip to give you an idea about that.
Are you ready, people? It's showtime.
The biggest toy store in the world is coming to Times Square November 17th. The new Toys R Us. We're ready. Are you?
Nice job, Jeffrey.
Yeah, sorry I was a little late. I hit traffic in Cleveland.
Come on, let's go ride the Ferris wheel.
Oh, I don't know. I'm a little afraid of heights.
Chicken.
Actually, I'm closer to the bovine family.
For those of you who find the voice familiar, it's actually Jim Hanks, the brother of Tom Hanks, who did all the commercials there. That was really the kickoff. I've got another sizzler tape that I'm going to show you in a minute or two, but I really want to talk about the efforts that got us there. We really believed that at the end of a long day, it was people that were going to make the difference. And I never for 1 minute believed in the myth that you can't get great people in Manhattan or that you can't get great customer service. Now, many of you have experienced that, and you think that I'm probably pretty crazy for saying that. But that was the baseline. We did not believe that we could have any endurable proposition without being able to do that. We hired, in the process over the space of 3 months, 700 associates for Toys R Us Times Square. We did that by interviewing 28,000 people. And I will tell you right now that we proudly stand there with the greatest customer service and what we call guest delight ratings that our chain has ever seen. And I would also egotistically tell you that you can go to any store in the city of New York, and I promise you, you will not get any better service, you will not get any better engagement. And why? It's because every single one of those people believe that they make a difference. We communicate with them all the time on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. They are paid commensurate with their skill levels and their backgrounds. They have fun. Here's retail, which normally suffers a turnover rate of about 150% a year with its associates. Well, so far in the first 7 months that we're open, our turnover is 11%. And that really is a testament to a lot of people who have dug down and continue to make a difference. Additionally, this is an event center. To this point, we have hosted Bill Gates in the launch of Microsoft Xbox. We've hosted Tiger Woods. We've hosted Destiny's Child. We've had Rosie O'Donnell and Bette Midler and Robert De Niro, and on the list goes, because it's the place to be. It's the place to be seen. From a merchandising point of view, 110,000 square feet, we actually have a lower number of items in that store than a typical Toys R Us store, because we make a commitment to being in stock on important items. We have no pre-sales area in the store. Every night from 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. the following morning, right across Manhattan come a whole army of trucks to restock the store. During Christmas, we were receiving 35 trucks of merchandise a day to replenish the store. And our motto is at Toys R Us Times Square that every single morning when we open for business, we're going to be grand opening ready, just the same way as we were. What do we do to keep it fresh and exciting? We have 8 feature shops in the store. They change on a weekly or bi-weekly or monthly basis, so that when you walk into the building, we will be telling you what the absolute hottest amount of merchandise is in our industry. What keeps it fresh? What keeps it exciting? I've given you a bit of a background. Let's show you what it all looks like.
The Rock'em Sock'em Robots by Marx.
My mystery day.
G.I. Joe, G.I. Joe, fighting man.
Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head with cars and trailers come in one row.
Is silly putty.
I wanna grow up, I wanna grow up, I wanna be a Toys R Us kid.
It is as very cool as you see it. 2 more quick points that I'd like to make. This building has been designed and is really the focal point to change the fortunes of a $12 billion company that operates in 27 countries around the world. Next week, we'll be making a presentation to the entire senior executive committee of the organization talking about our learnings in there, which have been many. They've been probably 90% good and about 10% not. The last thing I want to touch on, and most importantly, is a lesson I learned because I didn't really know why I was doing this. I thought it was a really neat opportunity for my wife and I to live in Manhattan on somebody else's dime, see theater, go to great restaurants and revisit family from 25 years ago. But September 11th taught us all a lesson, and it was never driven home, more importantly, not only to myself, but the best staff that I have ever worked with. When on December 1st, Toys R Us in this building shut down for business and we hosted the fire department's Widows and Orphans Christmas party. A party that was supposed to have 100 families and 200 kids mushroomed as a product of 9/11 to 300 families and 700 orphans, all in the space of those few months. And the most hardened business person in you, the most mature or well-traveled, absolutely, I went to Jell-O. I broke down 3 times during that day, not only at the very thought of what we were undertaking, but seeing kids walk in who were just quizzical, and more importantly, moms who walked in with large stomachs, with children there, knowing what their lives held and how tough they were and how they were going to overcome that. I really found out why I was there. I was there to help make a difference for families and for kids and to bring some joy along with our staff back to Central Manhattan. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much, Ed.